You know, call me crazy, call me a lunatic, but anytime I see a story that talks about white nationalists walking down the street or, a group of mass individuals with, swastikas or racist tones or anything like that, I don't believe the story. I don't believe the story one bit. Because I've seen how many times we have seen masked individuals posing as civilians, causing ruckus or causing or sowing division. And it turns out to be a Fed operation, or it turns out to be an insider infiltration, or some sort of NGO aligned with this. So when I see this kind of story, for example, says alleged white nationalist group seen demonstrating on London, Ontario bridge. Now, it seems scary, but look at the picture that CP24 puts out here. And you could see that they're all wearing the same colors and they all seem to be masked up. And how many times have we seen demonstrations where you have these supposed individuals that all dress alike, they all got masks up, and you can't see them, you don't know where they are, but they're causing this ruckus, and it just seems like some sort of plot. It seems some sort of psyop is being afoot here. So they say concerns are being raised after an alleged white nationalist group has seen demonstrating in London's Old South neighborhood over the weekend. CTV News viewer Dave, who did not want his last name used, caught video on his dash cam as he drove along the Horton Street underpass. The video caught the group on the Wortley Road Bridge, taken Sunday around noon. The video appears to show a group of about 30 people dressed in dark uniforms and masks. How many times have we seen this before? How many times have we seen this before? I can give you hundreds of examples. Remember the supposed Proud Boys scam, the white nationalists that were going after a pride event in, I think it was Idaho, that they were all masked up, that they all looked like they got captured. It was all fake. It was all phony. It was all theatrics. Or how about the demonstrators at the pro-Palestine protest in Montreal? There was masked individuals dressed in black, posing as civilians, causing destruction to buildings so that they can use that to try to dismiss the peaceful demonstrations of the pro-Palestine movement. They did it deliberately. It's a psyop. And this is what it seems like to me. It seems like another psyop is afoot in London, Ontario. And it happens in Canada more often than you think. You hear a lot about it in America, but it happens more frequently here in Canada. The term refers to they seem to be holding up a banner that reads, "Free Migration Now." The term refers to a far-right concept of ethnic cleansing via the mass deportation of non-white immigrants and their descendants. That's ethnic cleansing? So what do you call what's happening in Palestine then? It just seems so crazy. It seems so crazy. Viewer Dave said such a display has no place in London. It was a military display of force. People had the right to protest. Even those people, they have a conversation, but presenting themselves in uniforms with mask and black attire with a clear message that says all people who aren't white to get out of Canada on a banner in a public space, I would say is more intimidating than that conversation, said Dave. I would say that's a definite ploy. If I saw that, if I was witness to that, I could tell you that is a psyop. That is a complete psyop. You're telling me proud white nationalists don't want to display their faces? They're all covered up. They're all wearing the same uniform. You're telling me that's not suspicious? It doesn't even matter what banner they're showing on there. You don't think that's all suspicious? That 30 individuals just happen to appear on the same bridge in the same uniform with all the same masks. I'd say that's a psyop. London police confirmed that they called to the incident and the group demonstrated for about 20 minutes before leaving. No charges were laid. So they went onto a bridge for 20 minutes and left. Again, all I could say is it sounds like a psyop. So here, this guy Nate points out, Dave Vermew caught roughly 30 masked men in black on the Wortley Road overpass in London, Ontario, Canada, waving the red instant and re-migration now banner on his dash cam. The media immediately called it a white nationalist rally and labels anyone protesting for remigration a far-right Nazi, apparently defending the country your ancestors built and bled for is now extremist. This is not about hate. It's about enforcing the law, stopping endless loopholes, and reclaiming over who could say. So that's what I could say about remigration. The statement I could say about that. I could say that, it's not about, white nationalism. It's about having a certain immigration policy that is beneficial, that goes through the checks and balances, that, pushing for these migrants and giving them amnesty when we don't have any background information on them has become a disaster. And this huge wave of pushing the population done by NGOs is not only destroying the lives, the communities within Canada, but it's also destroying the lives of Canadians because they're purposely bringing the migrants so they can flush out the Canadian workers, bring them in as cheap labor, exploit them, and it's just causing a ruckus for all groups. So I could say that about the remigration statement. But again, watch this video. So here's the dash cam being presented on CTV News. And again, tell me if you think that this just seems too plausible for being a psyop. That's what it seems like to me. But you take a look for yourself.
This is dashcam footage from viewer Dave, who doesn't want his last name used. Taken Sunday around noon, it appears to show a group of about 30 people dressed in dark uniforms and masks, standing in formation on the Wortley Road overpass. The group is allegedly stormtroopers, named after the paramilitary wing of the historical Nazi Party in Germany. They're holding a banner up that reads, "Remigration Now." The term refers to a far-right concept of ethnic cleansing via the mass deportation of non-white immigrants and their descendants. Viewer Dave says it has no place in London.
It was a military display of force. People have the right to protest, even those people. They can have a conversation, but presenting themselves in uniforms with masks, in black attire, with a clear message that says all people who aren't white should get out of Canada on a banner in a public space, I would say is more intimidation than conversation.
London police confirmed they were called to the incident, and the group demonstrated for about 20 minutes before leaving. No charges were laid. Brian Bicknell, CTV News.
So, you have 30 alleged men, part of this group, that stood on a bridge for 20 minutes in dark uniforms, masked up, holding banners, and then walked away. It just seems so strange. It just seems so, that's why I went to the direction of being a psyop, because once again, I've seen these stories so many times before where you get masked individuals posing as civilians or posing as some sort of, group or organization. It like Antifa and like Black Lives Matter, like the pro-Palestine, it gets infiltrated by these perpetrators, by these insiders posing as them and causing ruckus. So it completely destroys the credibility of actual peaceful demonstration. So I can't really say that, what they're doing was effective or what the case may be. But it just seems so eerie. It just seems so crazy to think that, oh yeah, just 30 people were able to coordinate the same attire, the same uniforms, the masking, stand on a bridge and stood there for 20 minutes and then walked away scot free. Like it doesn't seem plausible unless you were a psyop, unless you were done purposely to cause disruption, to cause chaos. That's the whole purpose of all these events. So here's 6Buzz TV. An alleged white nationalist group in London displayed a re-immigration now sign above a street. And you can see the picture there. Hold on. You can see the picture there. Okay. All these people, same uniform, the exact same uniform, all masked up. You would do that if you were a psyop. You would do that if you were a Fed. That's what ICE is doing. ICE has all wearing, masks. They're not showing themselves. And the reason they say they do that is because they don't want people to be doxxed. They don't want the information to be spewed out to the public. Well, if you're law enforcement, part of your job description is to have identification. Every police officer has an ID badge. Every police officer has an ID badge. Every firefighter has some sort of ID. If you're a paramedic, you have an ID. But ICE officials apparently are allowed to wear, civilian clothing and mask themselves up and start harassing people because it's law enforcement. That's what makes all this suspicious. Like, I just don't trust the idea. I don't understand the idea of these 30 people gathering together in the same uniform, all masked up, coordinating for 20 minutes on this bridge and then walked away. I don't understand this. It seems too made up. So, and this isn't the first time that this happened. So the noticer says Canadian nationalists have been praised for holding a mass deportations now protest during the Christmas rush at White Oaks Mall in London, Ontario, saying what we're all thinking. So, and again, watch the video here, because these demonstrators, once again, masked up, wearing, dark clothing, and not really exposing themselves. It just seems so creepy. It seems so coordinated that this doesn't seem organic. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. It doesn't seem organic. It doesn't seem natural that these protests are occurring. But let's see this. So if you're white nationalists, if you're proud to be a white person, a Caucasian, why would you mask yourself up? That's the thing I don't understand. I'm not a white nationalist. I'm a white individual, but I think we're all individuals. As the saying goes, we're all God's children and respect one another, love and peace and harmony for everyone. But if you're one of these individuals that, claim white power, whatnot, why would you mask yourself up? Like, that's the thing that doesn't make sense. So you're a white nationalist that's not proud to show yourself. That's why you're masked up and wearing the heavy clothes. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. But it does make sense if you want to conceal your identity for anyone walking by to look at you and go, you look familiar. And then maybe to Google yourself up or look at social media and realize, oh, you're a paid protester. You're a paid infiltrator. You're paid by some sort of insider to cause this ruckus. Which is why I think that London, Ontario story seems a bit fishy. You're telling me 30 people just got together on one bridge, all coordinating the same uniform, all masked up, and you're telling me there's not some sort of backing behind it, some sort of infiltration, some sort of psyop done purposely? The same with this. They're supposed to be white nationalists, but apparently they're not proud enough to show themselves. It just seems so crazy. And like I said, there's hundreds of these stories. There's hundreds of these stories that all lead to psyops. Just like this one in particular. This was in Columbus, Ohio. It said police said the individuals were armed with firearms. And look, again, all dressed in black, wearing face masks, so concealing their faces, waving around swastikas, men carrying flags with swastikas, walked down a street in Columbus, Ohio on Saturday, November 16, 2024, in a screen grab, a video supplied to ABC News. And it says, "We will not tolerate hate in Ohio." Ohio Republican Governor Mike DeWine said in a statement on social media platform X on Saturday evening, neo-Nazis, their faces hidden behind red masks, roamed streets in Columbus today carrying Nazi flags and spewing vile and racist speech against people of color and Jews. There were reports that they said were also espousing white power sentiments. Again, it just doesn't make sense to me that if they're part of a white power organization, why are they concealing themselves? It doesn't make sense. The two don't add up. You're proud white folk and white power, but you're going to mask yourself up, hide your identity, conceal your face, conceal your clothing, all wear the same colors, and do this orchestration. And 9 times out of 10, 99.9% of the time, it goes to a psyop. That this is all done purposely to cause ruckus on the streets, to cause havoc, to cause distractions, to make us further divided so that the powerful interests at the top can cause more destruction while we're distracted by this. That's what it seems like to me. It just seems like another way to segregate and divide society as the powerful elite interests continue their devastation against us. And yes, it happens in Canada, and probably more so now. And they probably need this because they need to keep people distracted from Mark Carney and clan that are doing destruction to the country, doing destruction to Canadians, and furthering the cause of the World Economic Forum to basically hollow out this nation and turn into a vessel state for them. That's why Mark Carney was installed to be prime minister. So that's what it seems like to me. It just seems so fake, so phony. All signs lead to a psyop, but you tell me. Because maybe it's just my mind. Maybe it's just me being a conspiracy nut. But if you've seen certain instances exactly like this, it all kind of leads to the same direction. Hey, here at Kitz Corner, we want to thank you, our viewers and our subscribers that tune into Kitz Corner for the latest dives in trending news, political conspiracies, and the craziest of stories. However, being in this business isn't an easy job. Because we're independent, we can dive into stories that the mainstream outlets are afraid to do so. But unfortunately, that doesn't give us the luxury of big advertising or government subsidies. That's why we reach out to you. You can support Kitz Corner and get some cool new threads in the process. Say what? That's right, check out our merch store, where we have a big selection of t-shirts, mugs, stickers, sweaters, bags, and more. All with interesting designs too, like this True North Strong and Free. So if you want to show off your support, go to our website at kitzcorner.net. That's kitzcorner.net. And click the store link at the top of the screen. Or you can scan the QR code provided on screen to get instant access to our merch store. Your support makes a huge difference at what we do here. So why not wear your support too? So go to kitzcorner.net or scan the QR code on your screen to get to our one-of-a-kind Kitz Corner merchandise store. Thank you, and on with the show.